Minecrafters, and how you going? Stevo here with another video, and today I wanted to make a explanatory video for my Hangman minigame. Now the reason I'm making this video is not just to show it off again. I do love looking at my redstone constructions, but I had a lot of people asking me during the week to make a video that explained some of the things that were going on in here, which is fair enough. I mean, there is a lot going on, and I've put a word on the board here, which has got cake. It hasn't been stored yet. It's ready to be stored, and I wanted to explain a bit about how that happens. Actually, one thing I should show you before we get too far is when I press, for example, next character, the character clears. That's one little feature I've added. I've updated the download link if you're curious and want to check it out. And when you press previous character, it's basically like backspace. It removes it rather than overwriting what was already there. So that's assuming, of course, you've just gone backspace after pressing next character. But I might actually add it, make it like a backspace function, because that would be fairly simple to do. Anyway, moving on. How those values there are stored is by binary values. Now the reason I've used binary is because we've got an XOR cluster here, for example, for the first character we see on the board. If we had not used binary and just used, 26, had like 26 comparators and command block things along a line, we would have had like a 52 block structure, because I mean this is like, it would have been 26 XORs, so 52 block long cluster of command blocks and comparators, and that would have just been huge. I mean, we've got a 5 XOR cluster here, which is 10 blocks long, so that just kind of gives you a gauge on on what we would have been expecting. Would have been like just over 5 times this length, and that's just to get the clusters to test what letters we're up to. So binary was much simpler. Binary is the best thing to use because it simplifies a lot of the comparisons, and I've used a lot of Boolean in terms of finding out if a value is true or not, or if it's the value that's on the board is the one we've selected. So how it's encoded is we've got a binary encoder system here using, I guess, a command block binary encoder system. It detects what number we're up to, or what letter number, and then it encodes the binary sequence. We're right now on E, as we know, because it's the last letter of cake, and the binary sequence is 00101, which we can see 2, 3, 4. 00101. 1 meaning on, and 0 meaning off, if you're not a binary, if you're not someone who knows a bit about binary. So what happens is, in order to store this value, when we press store, this clock will stop updating, and then the letter will be reset to 0, and then all of the display will be reset, and people can start guessing. So what happens is, when, for example, the values are stored on the screen here, we have 2 command blocks. One command block is for setting up, which keeps it constantly updated, as for example this one here is. Because the value we're up to is the last value of our word. We could make the word up to 10 characters long, but we've only made a 4-character word because we're lazy, and it makes for an easier solving for demonstration purposes. But if you wanted to, you could have a 10-letter word if you can think of one. Most people struggle to make 7-letter words, especially in like words with friends, which I do enjoy myself. Most of the words are like 3 or 4 letters, or 5. And yeah, so when we are ready to submit the word, the system goes into a very quick maintenance mode where it resets a lot of the values, like on the screen here, for example, and allows you to start guessing. And so we've got the blank values here ready to be solved. Now, the way that the wrong values work is I've actually added a few new features to decrease the lag. One of which was for the wrong clock, because prior to this it was just on constantly when it didn't need to be. Having a command block here means that we can have the commands working, the update working when when it's needed the most. Now the update system is right here, and it basically just updates all the letters. Now some of the bug fixes I added, you may recognize if you were I guess we're paying attention last time. I didn't have this line here. I've added a few other command blocks around the place and removed the line of redstone that was here. It was a big chunky thing, and it was actually not really working. I had to make other systems to do that job, which I managed to do and make it smaller than it was. So I'm happy with that, and yeah. So anyway, let's go ahead and start looking at how to solve this word. Now, you know, of course, the gallows does form up the top, and I'm going to ignore that completely. We know that if I don't solve the word, it's just going to make me lose. But I don't know about you guys, can't be bothered losing right now. And one thing to note is this is not sequential. We don't have to guess the letters in sequence. We can guess, like, for example, E right now, and E will come up. Now, before I press this last letter, with being K, I'm going to show you what's going on around back, and how it will determine that we've won. So we see here these 3 lit up command blocks. Now, our word is 4 letters, so this is our word. And on this side here, we've only got those 4 lit up. So when we guess K, that one there will light up, and we will have completed the circuit. This will turn off, and that will enable these command blocks here, most importantly. Those ones there are for more resetting, but those 2 there are probably... that one there, I think, is the most important one. It just resets everything, but that one there declares you a winner. So, yeah. Also, when you're guessing, the clocks are reversed. So when you're setting, this clock is on, depending on what character you're up to. When you're guessing, all of these clocks for whatever letter you're up to. As you notice, this is none because there's not 6 characters in the word. There's only 4. And this one's on. This one's on, and this one here's on. Now, you might remember before when we were setting, we went up to 5 characters and then we went back to 4. Now, you notice that that didn't count as there being an extra character. It stored still that there was 4, and so that's cool. So all 4 of these will update until you find a letter that matches. If you don't, it's going to say, nope, that's wrong, and put up part of the gallows. Now, in terms of the updates for the letters, as you can see, none of these are updating, even though it's still guessing. None of these are updating, because if we were to update them, every letter we pressed would go on every single part of the screen. So like we just pressed E, all 4 of these would be E, and all the ones we hadn't even had in the word would be E as well. So we can only update the one we're up to. And that is done using these XOR gates with these functions here. So for example, we've got true 1 is 1, and we've got right 1 is 1. So that happens, so like right 1 is this thing up here, and true 1 is this thing down here. Now when we do press, for example, K, to complete our word, the system will reset, and that will be done by activating this command block down here, which will snake all the way through most objectives. It will not reset everything. There's 1 or 2 that won't be a reset, and that's just for the sake of not killing everything, for example, when some are reset and others not, because a funny thing about command blocks is, as you can see, we've got a number of these on the same line. Now, just because this one is sitting before that one, does not mean it will update before that one. Sometimes they update at funny times, and that's because, I think, of how the command blocks are set up, and it's really, really weird, some of the ways that they set up. So to fix some of that, I had to I guess not reset everything, and keep a few values off. So anyway, this here is the letter we're up to. If you haven't seen this system before, this is my letter coding. This block here codes for every single letter for the screens, because the screens are basically Boolean values of 1 or 0 to either activate or deactivate the piston. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Boolean, Boolean is just basically a logic system of just 1 and 0. That's what binary is, and it's also used in programming to say true or false. Boolean is 1s and 0s. So what happens here is it checks for the letter value we're up to, and not just up there. It obviously turns into a binary sequence, but down here it codes for the screen. So we have 2 functions being used with the letter number. When we get the letter number, it comes over here and makes a binary values for the screen, because each one of these command blocks for the screen is different. Here we've got 1A, Here we've got 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, no 5A, and then 6A down below. This next screen here is exactly the same, and the reason we can get away with that is because we're not updating all the screens at the same time, which means we only need one memory block down the bottom like we have. Anyway, my throat is getting super dry, but I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. If you have any other questions, I'm going to try and put some of the syntax and some links to some of my command block tutorials in the description and on my website, probably more so. I'll have a more detailed setup on my website, so you can check out some tutorials and learn how to use command blocks. Because this is actually, as crazy as it looks, this is actually incredibly simple. Like, it really is really simple. I finished this in like 2 days. I'm not even joking. The longest part was just building it. So if you can master command blocks, you can build some pretty amazing stuff. But yeah, anyway, thanks guys so much for watching. My name is Stevo, and I'll catch you guys next time. See you later.
Got a little Swedish there.
Yeah.